You made it. Another night, another quiet moment to slip beneath the noise. Picture this: you're standing in a laboratory at the edge of time, where copper coils hum with invisible energy and the air itself seems to shimmer with possibility. The scent of ozone mingles with old wood and metal, and somewhere in the distance, electricity dances between your fingers like captured lightning. Let's be honest. You probably won't make it to the end. Sleep always wins. Take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if this kind of quiet weirdness feels like home. Then, if you're still here, tell me, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Now, soften the lights, maybe turn on a fan or let a candle flicker somewhere nearby, and let's begin. You find yourself drawn into the story of a man whose dreams were too large for his time, whose visions of a world powered by invisible forces were buried beneath the weight of profit and fear. Nikola Tesla stands before you in this quiet space between sleep and waking, his wild hair catching the glow of his wireless transmission towers, his eyes bright with the madness of genius. You watch as he extends his hand toward a bulb that glows without wires, powered by energy pulled from the very air around you. This is where your journey begins, in the space between what was promised and what was taken away. The year is 1899, and you're walking through Tesla's Colorado Springs laboratory in the thin mountain air. Your footsteps echo against wooden floors as you move between towering coils that reach toward the ceiling like mechanical trees. Tesla himself moves through this space like a conductor orchestrating invisible symphonies, his hands guiding currents that dance through the air without need for copper veins or metal arteries. You breathe in the electric atmosphere and feel something fundamental shift in your understanding of how energy moves through the world. The mainstream narrative tells you that Tesla was a brilliant inventor who gave us alternating current and the foundations of modern electrical systems. This much is true, documented in patents and historical records that stretch back over a century. But as you stand in this reconstructed moment, watching Tesla's fingers trace patterns in the air that somehow command electricity to flow, you begin to sense there was something more, something that existed at the edges of what we're told about energy and power. You notice how Tesla's eyes seem to see beyond the visible spectrum, how his hands move as if he's feeling currents that exist in dimensions you can't quite perceive. The fringe believers whisper that Tesla had tapped into something ancient, that his wireless energy wasn't just about transmitting electricity through the air but about connecting with the fundamental frequencies that bind the universe together. They speak of him as a man who understood that consciousness itself might be electrical, that the human nervous system could interface directly with the planetary electrical field. You find yourself wondering if Tesla's wireless transmission towers were less like radio antennas and more like acupuncture needles inserted into the Earth's energy meridians. The mystery deepens as you consider the questions that mainstream science still struggles to answer. How exactly did Tesla plan to transmit power wirelessly across vast distances? His patents speak of using the Earth itself as a conductor, of tapping into natural electrical phenomena that most physicists of his time barely acknowledged existed. Some researchers today suggest he was working with scalar waves, longitudinal electrical disturbances that can travel faster than light and carry energy without the losses associated with traditional electromagnetic transmission. Others dismiss these theories entirely, claiming Tesla's wireless power was simply an early form of what we now call inductive coupling, useful only across short distances. But as you stand in this space between documented history and suppressed possibility, you sense that neither explanation fully captures what Tesla was reaching toward. You feel the weight of a century's worth of buried dreams as you move deeper into Tesla's world. The soft hum of his equipment creates a lullaby that seems to vibrate in your bones, and you begin to understand that this story isn't just about electricity or invention. It's about the moment when humanity stood at a crossroads between two different relationships with energy itself. Tesla's vision promised a world where power flowed as freely as sunlight, where the artificial scarcity that drives economic systems would become impossible to maintain. You can almost see this alternate timeline shimmering in the air around you, a world where every home draws its energy from the same source that powers lightning and the aurora borealis. The psychological implications of Tesla's suppressed technology ripple through your consciousness like stones dropped in still water. Carl Jung wrote about the collective unconscious, that shared psychic space where archetypal patterns influence human behavior across cultures and centuries. You begin to wonder if Tesla's wireless energy represented more than just a technological breakthrough, if it touched something deeper in the human psyche about our relationship with power and control. The mainstream psychological understanding suggests that humans have an innate drive to dominate their environment, to harness and control natural forces for survival and comfort. Tesla's vision challenged this paradigm by proposing that we could work with natural forces rather than against them, drawing energy from the Earth's own electrical field rather than burning fossil fuels or splitting atoms. But there's something more unsettling lurking beneath this technological promise, something that explains why Tesla's wireless energy was buried so completely that most people today have never heard of it. You sense the presence of forces that operate in the shadows of history, entities whose power depends on maintaining artificial scarcity and control over energy resources. The fringe researchers speak of suppression technologies, of patents that disappear into black projects and inventors who meet mysterious ends when they get too close to breakthrough discoveries. They point to the strange circumstances surrounding Tesla's death, how his papers were seized by government agents and classified for decades, how his most promising research seemed to vanish into bureaucratic black holes. You find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about the development of modern technology. The official narrative presents technological progress as a natural evolution, each innovation building logically on previous discoveries. But as you drift deeper into Tesla's world, you begin to see patterns that suggest a more complex reality. Technologies that threaten existing power structures seem to face unusual obstacles, while innovations that reinforce centralized control receive abundant funding and support. Tesla's wireless energy fell into the first category, promising to democratize power in ways that would have fundamentally altered the economic landscape of the 20th century. The spiritual dimensions of Tesla's work begin to reveal themselves as you settle into the rhythm of his laboratory. Tesla himself spoke of receiving insights through what he called mental flashes, moments of inspiration that seemed to come from beyond his conscious mind. He described his inventions as discoveries rather than creations, as if he was uncovering principles that already existed in some higher dimension of reality. The mainstream scientific worldview struggles to accommodate such descriptions, preferring to frame innovation as the result of logical analysis and systematic experimentation. But Tesla's own account suggests something more mystical, a process of attunement to frequencies that exist beyond the range of normal human perception. You notice how Tesla's approach to invention resembled the practices described in various esoteric traditions. Like the ancient alchemists who sought to transmute base metals into gold, Tesla seemed to be working with subtle energies that existed at the intersection of matter and consciousness. His wireless energy experiments involved not just the manipulation of electrical currents but the cultivation of states of awareness that allowed him to perceive and work with these invisible forces. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, takes on new meaning as you consider Tesla's belief that the same patterns that govern cosmic electrical phenomena could be reproduced on a terrestrial scale. The suppression of Tesla's wireless energy technology reveals itself as part of a larger pattern that extends far beyond the realm of science and invention. You begin to see how control over energy resources has shaped human civilization for millennia, from the monopolization of fire in ancient societies to the oil wars of the modern era. Those who control energy control the fundamental basis of human activity, and Tesla's promise of free, wireless power represented an existential threat to these established hierarchies. The psychological concept of cognitive dissonance helps explain how entire societies can ignore or forget revolutionary possibilities that conflict with existing belief systems and power structures. As you drift deeper into this exploration, you encounter the strange phenomenon of collective amnesia that seems to surround Tesla's most radical discoveries. It's as if humanity developed a kind of psychic blind spot, an inability to see or remember possibilities that might fundamentally alter the status quo. The fringe researchers suggest this amnesia isn't accidental, that there are technologies and techniques for manipulating collective consciousness, for ensuring that certain ideas never gain the traction needed to transform society. They point to the synchronicities and coincidences that seem to cluster around suppressed technologies, the way promising research gets defunded at crucial moments, the way inventors suddenly lose interest in their most revolutionary work. You find yourself wondering about the role of fear in this suppression, the deep psychological resistance that humans seem to have toward technologies that promise genuine freedom. The concept of learned helplessness, first described by psychologist Martin Seligman, suggests that people can become so accustomed to limitation and control that they lose the ability to recognize or pursue genuine alternatives. Tesla's wireless energy represented more than just free electricity. It symbolized the possibility of a world where artificial scarcity couldn't be used to control human behavior. Perhaps the suppression wasn't just imposed from above but also emerged from below, from humanity's own unconscious fear of true liberation. The laboratory around you begins to shift and blur as you move deeper into the mystery of Tesla's lost legacy. You sense the presence of other inventors and researchers who have touched similar possibilities over the past century, individuals whose work has been marginalized, ridiculed, or simply ignored by mainstream science. The pattern repeats with disturbing consistency. Breakthrough discoveries that promise to revolutionize energy production are either bought up by large corporations and shelved, or their inventors face mysterious obstacles that prevent their work from reaching the public. You begin to understand that Tesla's story isn't unique but part of a larger tapestry of suppressed innovation that spans decades. The psychological mechanisms of suppression reveal themselves as you explore this hidden history. The concept of the "not invented here" syndrome explains how established institutions resist innovations that come from outside their approved channels. The sunk cost fallacy helps illuminate why societies continue investing in obsolete technologies even when superior alternatives become available. But there's something deeper at work here, something that touches the very foundations of how human consciousness relates to power and possibility. Tesla's wireless energy challenged not just economic interests but fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality itself. You notice how the suppression of wireless energy technology parallels the marginalization of other paradigm-shifting discoveries throughout history. The medical establishment's resistance to germ theory, the scientific community's rejection of continental drift, the academic world's dismissal of consciousness research, all follow similar patterns of institutional blindness and active suppression. The sociologist Thomas Kuhn described how scientific paradigms resist change until the weight of contradictory evidence becomes overwhelming, but Tesla's case suggests that some paradigm shifts are actively prevented from occurring, regardless of the evidence supporting them. The spiritual implications of this suppression begin to crystallize as you drift deeper into the mystery. If Tesla was correct about the possibility of tapping into the Earth's natural electrical field, then humanity has spent the past century burning fossil fuels and splitting atoms unnecessarily, poisoning the planet and creating artificial scarcity when abundance was always available. The concept of original sin takes on new meaning when viewed through this lens. Perhaps humanity's fall from grace wasn't a mythological event but a historical choice to embrace limitation and control rather than freedom and abundance. You find yourself contemplating the role of consciousness in Tesla's wireless energy experiments. The quantum physics that emerged decades after Tesla's death suggests that consciousness plays a fundamental role in the collapse of quantum wave functions, that the act of observation literally creates the reality we experience. If Tesla was working with quantum-level phenomena in his wireless transmission experiments, then the consciousness of the operator might have been as important as the technical apparatus. This could explain why Tesla's discoveries have been so difficult to replicate. They required not just the right equipment but the right state of awareness. The laboratory around you continues to shift and transform as you explore these deeper implications. You begin to sense that Tesla's wireless energy wasn't just about transmitting electricity but about accessing what mystics have called the zero-point field, the quantum vacuum that underlies all physical reality. Modern physics acknowledges that this field contains enormous amounts of energy, but mainstream science insists that this energy cannot be extracted for practical use. Tesla's experiments suggest otherwise, pointing toward technologies that could tap into this fundamental energy source and make conventional power generation obsolete. The psychological resistance to such possibilities reveals itself as a form of collective trauma, a deep wound in the human psyche that prevents us from recognizing our true potential. The concept of Stockholm Syndrome, where victims develop sympathy for their captors, provides a framework for understanding how humanity has come to identify with the very systems that limit and control us. Tesla's wireless energy represented a key to the prison, but the prisoners had become so attached to their chains that they couldn't recognize freedom when it was offered to them. You notice how the suppression of Tesla's wireless energy technology has shaped the entire trajectory of human civilization over the past century. The oil-based economy that emerged in Tesla's absence created the geopolitical tensions that defined the 20th century, from 2 world wars to the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East. The centralized power grids that replaced Tesla's vision of wireless transmission created vulnerabilities that can be exploited by both natural disasters and human adversaries. The environmental destruction caused by fossil fuel consumption might have been entirely avoided if Tesla's wireless energy had been allowed to develop. The deeper you explore this alternate history, the more you begin to understand that Tesla's suppression represents a kind of collective shadow, a disowned aspect of human potential that continues to influence our development from the unconscious level. Carl Jung wrote about how repressed contents of the psyche tend to manifest in projected form, and you begin to see how humanity's rejection of Tesla's gift has created the very problems we now struggle to solve. The energy crisis, climate change, geopolitical instability, all might be symptoms of our refusal to embrace the abundance that Tesla offered. The mystical dimensions of Tesla's work become more apparent as you settle into the deeper rhythms of his laboratory. Tesla spoke of his inventions as communications from higher intelligences, and his descriptions of the creative process sound remarkably similar to accounts of channeling or mediumship found in various spiritual traditions. The mainstream scientific worldview has no framework for understanding such phenomena, but the emerging field of consciousness research suggests that human awareness might be capable of accessing information from non-local sources. Tesla's wireless energy experiments might have been as much about consciousness expansion as technological innovation. You find yourself wondering about the role of timing in Tesla's suppression, the way his most radical discoveries emerged just as humanity was making the transition from agricultural to industrial civilization. Perhaps Tesla's wireless energy came too early, before humanity had developed the psychological and spiritual maturity to handle such power responsibly. The atomic age that followed Tesla's suppression demonstrated humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction on an unprecedented scale, and maybe the same forces that gave us nuclear weapons would have weaponized Tesla's wireless energy in equally dangerous ways. But as you drift deeper into this contemplation, you begin to sense that the timing might not have been accidental. The esoteric traditions speak of cosmic cycles and evolutionary pressures that guide human development across vast spans of time. Tesla's emergence at the dawn of the electrical age might have been part of a larger pattern, an attempt by higher intelligences to offer humanity a path toward sustainable abundance. The suppression of his work might represent humanity's failure to pass a crucial evolutionary test, a choice to remain in limitation rather than embrace our true potential. The laboratory around you begins to fade as you approach the deeper mysteries of Tesla's legacy. You sense that his wireless energy technology was just the tip of an iceberg, that his true discoveries touched the very foundations of reality itself. The patents and papers that were seized after his death might have contained blueprints for technologies that could revolutionize not just energy production but our understanding of space, time, and consciousness. The suppression of Tesla's work might have delayed human evolution by centuries, forcing us to develop along more primitive and destructive pathways. You notice how Tesla's story intersects with other suppressed narratives from the 20th century, from the alternative health technologies that were marginalized by the pharmaceutical industry to the consciousness research that was driven underground by academic orthodoxy. The pattern suggests a systematic effort to prevent humanity from accessing its full potential, to maintain artificial limitations that serve the interests of established power structures. Tesla's wireless energy was just one thread in a larger tapestry of suppressed possibilities that continues to shape our world today. The psychological implications of this suppression ripple through your awareness like waves on a still pond. The concept of learned helplessness takes on new dimensions when applied to entire civilizations, suggesting that humanity might have developed a collective inability to recognize or pursue genuine alternatives to the systems that control us. Tesla's wireless energy represented more than just free electricity. It symbolized the possibility of a world where abundance rather than scarcity was the organizing principle of human society. As you explore these deeper implications, you begin to understand that Tesla's suppression wasn't just about technology but about consciousness itself. The wireless transmission of energy might have required a fundamental shift in human awareness, a recognition that we are not separate from the natural world but intimately connected to the electrical field that surrounds and permeates all life. This shift would have challenged not just economic interests but the entire worldview that underlies modern civilization, the belief that humans must dominate and control nature rather than work in harmony with it. You find yourself contemplating the role of fear in maintaining this suppression, the deep psychological resistance that prevents humanity from embracing technologies that promise genuine freedom. The concept of the comfort zone, familiar to every student of psychology, helps explain how individuals and societies can become so attached to familiar limitations that they resist opportunities for genuine growth and expansion. Tesla's wireless energy represented a leap beyond the comfort zone of an entire civilization, and perhaps the suppression emerged as much from collective fear as from deliberate conspiracy. The laboratory continues to shift around you as you explore these deeper mysteries, the boundaries between past and present becoming increasingly fluid. You sense that Tesla's wireless energy experiments were part of a larger exploration of the relationship between consciousness and physical reality, an investigation that touched the very foundations of what we consider possible. The mainstream scientific worldview insists on a clear separation between mind and matter, but Tesla's work suggested that consciousness might play a more fundamental role in shaping physical phenomena than we typically acknowledge. The spiritual traditions that emerged from various cultures throughout history seem to have anticipated Tesla's discoveries in remarkable ways. The Hindu concept of prana, the Chinese understanding of qi, the Western esoteric tradition's exploration of subtle energies, all point toward the existence of life force energies that permeate and animate the physical world. Tesla's wireless energy experiments might have been an attempt to harness these subtle energies using technological means, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science in ways that threatened established orthodoxies on both sides. You notice how the suppression of Tesla's work parallels the marginalization of other paradigm-shifting discoveries throughout history, from Galileo's heliocentric model to Darwin's theory of evolution. But Tesla's case seems different in important ways, involving not just academic resistance but active suppression by powerful economic and political interests. The implications of free, wireless energy were too radical to be allowed even the limited acceptance that other revolutionary ideas eventually achieved. Tesla's discoveries had to be buried completely, erased from collective memory in ways that ensured they would never resurface to challenge the established order. The deeper you explore this suppression, the more you begin to understand its psychological dimensions. The concept of cognitive dissonance helps explain how entire societies can ignore or forget possibilities that conflict with their fundamental beliefs and assumptions. Tesla's wireless energy challenged not just specific technologies but the entire framework of scarcity-based economics that underlies modern civilization. The psychological investment in this framework runs so deep that even clear evidence of alternatives tends to be dismissed or rationalized away. You find yourself wondering about the role of collective trauma in maintaining this suppression, the way entire civilizations can develop blind spots that prevent them from seeing certain possibilities. The psychological concept of dissociation, where traumatic experiences are split off from conscious awareness, might help explain how humanity has managed to forget Tesla's promise of free energy so completely. Perhaps the suppression created a kind of collective dissociation, a splitting off of our awareness of genuine alternatives to the systems that control us. The laboratory around you continues to transform as you explore these deeper implications, the boundaries between technology and consciousness becoming increasingly blurred. You begin to sense that Tesla's wireless energy experiments were as much about expanding human awareness as they were about transmitting electricity. The process of tuning into the Earth's electrical field might have required states of consciousness that mainstream science has yet to acknowledge or understand. Tesla's descriptions of receiving insights through mental flashes suggest that his inventions emerged from altered states of awareness that allowed him to perceive patterns and possibilities beyond the range of ordinary consciousness. The mystical dimensions of Tesla's work become more apparent as you settle into the deeper rhythms of his laboratory. The ancient Hermetic principle, as above, so below, takes on new meaning when applied to Tesla's wireless energy experiments, suggesting that the same patterns that govern cosmic electrical phenomena could be reproduced on a terrestrial scale. Tesla's vision of tapping into the Earth's electrical field might have been an attempt to create a technological reflection of the natural energy systems that already exist at planetary and cosmic levels. You notice how Tesla's approach to invention resembled the practices described in various shamanic and mystical traditions, involving states of consciousness that allowed direct perception of subtle energy patterns. The mainstream scientific method, with its emphasis on objective measurement and reproducible results, might be inadequate for understanding phenomena that exist at the intersection of consciousness and physical reality. Tesla's wireless energy experiments might have required not just technical expertise but the cultivation of awareness states that most scientists are not trained to access or maintain. The suppression of Tesla's work begins to reveal itself as part of a larger pattern of resistance to consciousness-expanding technologies and practices throughout human history. From the persecution of mystics and shamans in traditional societies to the marginalization of consciousness research in modern academia, there seems to be a consistent effort to prevent humanity from accessing its full potential. Tesla's wireless energy represented a technological pathway toward expanded awareness, and its suppression might have been necessary to maintain the psychological limitations that keep human consciousness confined within manageable boundaries. As you drift deeper into these contemplations, you begin to understand that Tesla's story is ultimately about the relationship between individual genius and collective resistance to change. Tesla's vision of wireless energy emerged from his unique ability to perceive patterns and possibilities that remained invisible to his contemporaries, but the implementation of his discoveries would have required a collective shift in consciousness that humanity was not ready to make. The suppression of his work might represent not just the triumph of economic interests but the failure of human consciousness to evolve rapidly enough to embrace the possibilities that Tesla offered. The laboratory continues to fade around you as you approach the deepest mysteries of Tesla's legacy. You sense that his wireless energy technology was connected to even more radical discoveries that have been completely erased from historical memory. The patents and papers that disappeared after his death might have contained blueprints for technologies that could manipulate space and time itself, discoveries that would have revolutionized not just energy production but our understanding of the fundamental nature of reality. You find yourself contemplating the possibility that Tesla's suppression was orchestrated by forces that operate beyond the level of ordinary human awareness, entities or intelligences that have a vested interest in maintaining certain limitations on human development. The esoteric traditions speak of hierarchies of consciousness that exist beyond the physical plane, and perhaps Tesla's discoveries threatened arrangements that extend far beyond earthly economic and political systems. The suppression of wireless energy might have been necessary to prevent humanity from accessing levels of power and awareness that we are not yet spiritually mature enough to handle responsibly. The psychological implications of this possibility ripple through your awareness like stones dropped in still water. If Tesla's suppression was orchestrated by non-human intelligences, then humanity's relationship with technology and consciousness might be subject to influences and limitations that we don't even recognize. The concept of the Stockholm Syndrome takes on cosmic dimensions when applied to humanity's relationship with these hypothetical controlling forces, suggesting that we might have developed a kind of species-wide identification with our captors. But as you explore these deeper possibilities, you also begin to sense that Tesla's legacy continues to influence human development in subtle ways, working through the collective unconscious to prepare humanity for the eventual emergence of wireless energy and related technologies. The growing environmental crisis, the increasing instability of centralized power systems, the rising awareness of consciousness research, all might be part of a larger pattern that is gradually creating the conditions necessary for Tesla's vision to finally be realized. You notice how Tesla's story intersects with other suppressed narratives from the past century, from alternative healing technologies to consciousness expansion techniques, suggesting that his wireless energy was part of a larger wave of evolutionary possibilities that emerged at the dawn of the modern age. The suppression of these possibilities might have been necessary to allow humanity to develop certain capacities and understandings that will be essential for their eventual implementation. Tesla's wireless energy might have been offered too early, before humanity had developed the wisdom and maturity necessary to use such power responsibly. The laboratory around you begins to dissolve as you approach the final mysteries of Tesla's legacy, the boundaries between past and future becoming increasingly fluid. You sense that Tesla's wireless energy technology is not lost but dormant, waiting for the right conditions to emerge once again. The suppression that has lasted for over a century might be approaching its end, as humanity faces crises that can only be resolved through the kind of paradigm shift that Tesla's discoveries represent. The deeper you drift into this contemplation, the more you begin to understand that Tesla's story is ultimately about hope, about the possibility that humanity can transcend the limitations that have defined our development for so long. His vision of wireless energy represents more than just free electricity. It symbolizes the potential for a world where abundance rather than scarcity is the organizing principle of human civilization. The suppression of his work might have delayed this transformation, but it could not prevent it indefinitely. You find yourself wondering about your own role in Tesla's continuing legacy, the way his suppressed discoveries might be working through the collective unconscious to influence your thoughts and dreams. Perhaps every person who learns about Tesla's wireless energy becomes a carrier of his vision, helping to maintain the possibility of its eventual emergence in human consciousness. The suppression might have driven his discoveries underground, but it could not erase them completely from the collective memory of our species. As the laboratory fades around you and you prepare to return to ordinary consciousness, you carry with you the understanding that Tesla's legacy is not a historical curiosity but a living possibility that continues to shape human development. His wireless energy technology remains available to any civilization mature enough to embrace it, waiting patiently for humanity to develop the wisdom and courage necessary to transcend the limitations that have defined our past. The suppression that has lasted for over a century is not permanent but temporary, a necessary delay that has allowed humanity to develop capacities that will be essential for the responsible implementation of Tesla's revolutionary discoveries. You begin to sense the weight of this responsibility, the understanding that Tesla's legacy is not just about technology but about consciousness itself, about humanity's readiness to embrace its true potential. The wireless transmission of energy requires not just technical expertise but a fundamental shift in awareness, a recognition that we are not separate from the natural world but intimately connected to the electrical field that surrounds and permeates all life. This shift cannot be imposed from outside but must emerge from within, as individuals and societies develop the maturity necessary to handle the power that Tesla offered. The story of Tesla's suppression reveals itself as a mirror for humanity's own relationship with its unrealized potential, the way we consistently choose limitation over freedom, scarcity over abundance, control over trust. But this pattern is not permanent, and Tesla's legacy continues to work through the collective unconscious, preparing humanity for the eventual emergence of the technologies and consciousness shifts that his discoveries represent. The suppression that has lasted for over a century might be approaching its end, as the crises facing humanity create the conditions necessary for Tesla's vision to finally be realized. You don't need to understand it all. Just rest. Let the unseen carry you the rest of the way.